Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today we have something really cool from MachineWise. I lost my voice. I'm sure you guys can tell. Everybody in our house is finally not sick, including me, but this is what always happens to me at the end of a long bout of on and off illness. For some reason, I lose my voice and have no other symptoms. So I'm so sorry. There might be a couple of uploads here or there where I sound like this. I might get a little squeaky, and I might have to cut the video if I start coughing or whatever. But anyways, thanks so much to MachineWise for sending these in. This is actually really interesting, because we have multiple prototypes leading up to a finished product, which is neat. We generally don't get to see this type of process, right? So it's really cool. Thank you to MachineWise for sending this stuff in. I'm going to let you guys check out the MachineWise website, which will be linked down in the description. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's read the note here just real quick. Initially, it's kind of what I said. It says, thank you for taking a look at our prototypes. Our hope is that the progression of prototypes can give your viewers a look into our design process and the steps that a small knife maker takes to refine a model in-house. I have taken the liberty of writing out a bit of each prototype and the intent behind each. Note, packaging design is still in progress. Okay, cool. So the blade steel on this prototype, which we're going to look at here in a second, the blade steel is 20 CV with an HRC of 61 to 63. Very high. Pivot, skiff bearings, flattened ceramic detent ball. Weight is TBD. Feel free to weigh it, is what it says. Hardware is T15. Love that. Deep carry pocket clip. Designed, manufactured, and assembled in Phoenix, Arizona. So there's no clear indication here on like which one is which prototype. So I'm actually going to cut these open and hope that maybe there are additional indicators. It appears that each one has a note on it, so that should make it slightly easier. There's definitely more than a few things here. This is interesting. I was only expecting there to be 5 total items, but it looks like there's quite a bit more. I don't know what these are. Oh my gosh. What have you sent me? What is all of this? Okay, interesting. We're going to... So there are 5 things here, but there's also this. All right, so that means there are 5 prototypes. Let's go ahead and pull these apart with the magic of YouTube knife videos. Okay, we've got all of these out, and I learned a bunch too. This knife is called the Mojave, and all of the information that I'm going to read out is apparently also on the website. But we have prototypes 1 through 5. The 5th prototype, of course, being closest to the production version that you can expect. But this is their upcoming model, so you'll want to check out MachineWise and follow them on Instagram for updates on this, because it looks pretty cool. So for prototype 1 here, which we're going to get out here for a second, it just says this was October of 2024. The goal of prototype 1 was to get a quick hands-on object. Up until this point, the Mojave had been a model on screen. This actually really like this, because this is exactly what I went through with Excalibur and handling things and doing. So I get that part of it, but obviously this is much more complicated from their, like the design and doing all the CAD work and stuff like that. It's much more complicated, but this is cool. It brings me back to going through with Excalibur. The first prototype is a quick and dirty creation to get an idea of the dimensions of the knife and basis for whether the design had promise or needed a ground up redo. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at prototype 1 of the Mojave here. Really nice. It's funny that like prototype 1 right here, just like holding it without deploying it, this feels like something that would have felt like an incredible completed thing in like the 2015s of the knife world. Actually, I mean, in a lot of ways better, right? As you can see here, everything's real rough. The pivot doesn't fit, and that's what you would expect with a prototype 1. Holy crap. I wasn't expecting such a beautiful blade. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, the action here. That's wild. It's wild that this is prototype 1, man. Like this is, listen to that sing, man. Are all these going to sing? Oh my gosh. it's gonna hurt, like laughing and being enthusiastic here because what's happening with the finish here? Is it probably just a product of them grinding the blade out or putting this quick finish on it, right? It almost has this like rainbow reflectivity to it. That's really cool. But yeah, really comfortable. I really like this right off the bat. Okay, so next up here, we have prototype 2. They've written, between the first and second prototype, there was a significant redesign. We kept elements from the first prototype that we liked and refined areas that we didn't, which is a pretty standard procedure there. This prototype served a similar role to our first, served a similar role to the first as many changes had been made. It served as a foundation for refinement. This prototype is also the first complete Mojave. Oh, and this prototype has one of our LD/6 on its lanyard. Okay, I see. I was going to say, why does this one have the lens? So there you go. That's what that looks like. Prototype 2, there we go, of the Mojave. Ooh, much heavier D10. Much heavier D10. Obviously a rough finish here. They must also kind of be like touching on a couple of different potential finishes that they can apply to these knives. In hindsight, not necessarily a heavier D10, maybe slightly. I'm tempted to fill this out. So yeah, it is, but like the flipper tabs are different, right? They're clearly, I don't want people to get too hung up on the finishes here because they're obviously capable of a bunch of different things, right? Or necessarily, excuse me, the texturing on the blade. I do like the custom captive pivot. I think that's really, really cool. So I'm going to leave this out just so we can see. Okay, moving on. What do we have to say about prototype number 3? Prototype 3 and 4, this is a grouped one. Prototype 3 and 4 corrected 2 issues with the second attempt. The first issue in the second proto is the detent track. When the blade is in the open position, the detent track can be seen. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what he's talking about, I think, right there. That little line that's going around to that little circle that's right here. That's what he's talking about there, which I agree with. You don't want things on the detent track. Didn't notice that, though. The second issue being the flipper tab size. Between 1 and 2, we tried a large and small flipper tab. Starting at Proto 3, the flipper tab was made in the medium profile. Okay, so we kind of have a mama bear, papa bear, baby bear situation. With Prototype 3 and 4, we worked on dialing in the final step pattern to a coarser step over that fits with the overall aesthetic of the knife and dialed in the fit of various components. Prototype 3 also introduced a flattened detent ball to the platform. Prototype 4 was used as an exercise in repeatability and incremental refinement of tolerances. Unfortunately, both 3 and 4 had a fatal flaw. The assembly had to either be tuned for excellent action or for spine wax strength. This is not a trade-off we are willing to make. I love that. I love that they're not willing to just accept one or the other there. Whoa, man, that is heavy, snappy action there, though, for sure. And then here we are again with prototype number 4. I'm going to actually put this down while I remove this. Yeah, definitely. Same finish here, it looks like. And then texture pattern does feel kind of in between. That flipper tab does feel, I feel like, better to me. So I can kind of, it's neat feeling the progression of this. Accessible, very accessible here within that folder. Really nice. Man, the overall quality here, even in prototype phase, is something that's just like not typical of, like US made small batch stuff is really nice, but this is like on another level, even with the prototypes. And then 5, I know you guys are all salivating there at 5, so am I. Prototype 5, the 5th and currently final prototype, was made solely to solve the issue of spine whack. Changes were made to the lock face and engagement geometry to increase mechanical strength. These revisions were done to ensure lock reliability in spine whack, which is not something that companies normally aggressively go after. I mean, if they want it to lock up reliably, but this is like specifically, like he's saying spine whack, right? Maintain/improve action and further refine tolerancing. We also took the time to run an alternative handle pattern as we are really happy with where the fine step pattern is on prototype 3 and 4. Okay, cool. So they like these two, so that's kind of what you'd expect. Apologies for the sharpening on this prototype. we were testing some new belts and the choil got eaten a bit. Okay, no problem. We won't judge you for that. We won't judge you for that. Don't judge them for that. These are prototypes. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. That's really specific. Like, I mean, yeah, like you could say, like, having read that first, like now, you know, maybe I was prepared to like specifically feel those two things, but that is really an interesting combination of incredible detent strength and superior. I'm not doing that. This is like getting to, oh my gosh, what is happening? Hold on. Just right there, event horizon, almost like gravity is increasing for just the blade. That is so unbelievably smooth guillotine, pretty much. But also the detent strength and I think lock bar tension, and then they've got like lock face stuff that they said they were really. So lock up solidity is really, really good. You can see right here where it's locking up. But really cool. And look at that texture pattern. Oh, me, oh, my. It's not something that I say. I don't know why I said that. Big hardware. Love that. These are T15. Look at that beautiful pocket clip there, too. Bald spot underneath there. Still steel lock bar insert. Wow. Really, really nice. And then where was the goof up on the on the blade? Oh, yeah, I said it got eaten up a little bit on the back end there. Okay. But super cool. Look how we've got the secondary jimping zone out here. Real nice. I do like this a lot. Very, very cool. All right. Last category here, pending revisions. And no, I don't get to keep all this stuff. This is all going back to them. Pending revisions. These are bullet points. Finishing refinements, including hardware finishing, handle, post-machining finishing. Choil depth, additional handle pattern. Very cool. We love the different patterns. Matching clip to handle pattern or smooth clip for patterned handles. Everybody's going to have a different thought about this. I kind of think it's neat having a different pattern, but I think I would like that if the pattern was all exactly the same. Is that what they're saying there? Did I read that wrong? Matching clip to handle pattern or smooth clip for patterned handles. I think you should consider having an entirely different pattern on the pocket clip. I know that thing makes things complicated, but I always like to see a pattern on the clip of some sort. I'm always disappointed when the pocket clip has nothing on it, and I don't want to speak for everybody, so you might have to actually go down to the comments and see what people think, people who are still here at this point. Tell us what you think. Do you guys like it when there are patterns on the pocket clip, or would you prefer that it was bald? I like it when there's a pattern, even if the pattern doesn't match. And then finally it says selecting blade finish. If you guys do some type of like super high, like this, if you can do like some sort of mirror finish or super high polish finish, I think that would be great, you know. Yeah, I'm sure whatever you guys come up with would be cool. Awesome. Very cool. So very exciting. The Mojave. And then what's in, oh, so these are almost certainly the lanyard beads. Like that's what I assume is in all of these. Yeah, that's what these are. It's the little lanyard beads. That's kind of cool. I'm not a lanyard person or a lanyard bead person, but I do like seeing the different things that companies come up with. So that's I imagine they're all the same. I'm just going to check another one just to see. Yeah, that's what these are. Why did you guys send me so many? Do you want me to give these away? Maybe. I'll have to talk with them and see what they want me to do there. And then this is what I was really curious about. What's in this last one? I read further into this, and it says, I took the liberty of having the guys build a current Sonora for you. So they want to show off their most current Sonora. So I own a V1 Sonora. I gave away a V2, which I thought was essentially perfect. Apparently, they have a more perfecter version of the Sonora that they want to show off here. Look at that fade, Anno. I love that. Recorded video, blah, 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 during disassembly. Okay, cool. And then they have that. I'll let you guys pause if you want to. I believe, yeah, here we go. This is the Sonora at number 838, CPM 20 CV, hardened to 62. We love to see that. Handle texture is diamonds. Love that. Raw tie. Faded tie with distress. Oh, let's take a look. Let's take a look here. Come on out, little guy. There we go. Oh, I love me a good integral. The fade ano is really neat. And also, this has that kind of, what did they call it? The blade finish is light wash, and then they also have distress. So the nice thing about a distressed look is you can just go ahead and start using it, and it's everything, all the use marks are pretty much going to blend into it, which is something that some people really, really love. This is an integral. There are still tons of people who watch my content who do not understand the difference between an integral and a standard two-piece construction knife. This knife, the frame was milled from one single block of material, in this case, titanium. The Mojave was milled, or the handle was created with two separate pieces of titanium and then screwed together with screws and a backspacer in between. This is still expensive to do, right, with the materials, machining tolerances, all of that. But making the frame out of one single piece of titanium is much more expensive to do. And even though there's not necessarily a major benefit to this, to the end user, it is really, really cool. And it's definitely one of those things that enthusiasts love about these types of pocket knives, or this territory of pocket knives, is that we get elements like this that we don't normally see. What's further impressive is that these are entirely made in the United States and are far and away some of the least expensive examples of fully in-house US small batch integrals with additional elements like contouring, texturing, milled clips, etc., etc. They're not the only integral USA made pocket knife, but certainly the most impressive and the most complex at this price point by far. Take a look at the blade here. Ooh, boy, I still have that intentionally widened out zone at the end. A lot of people ask about that. Did they do that on purpose? And the answer is yes, they did. But this is beautifully mirror polished. Oh my goodness. That is so smooth. I'm sorry. MachineWise, almost, I'm not convinced that there's actually contact. Let me do my best to describe how that pivot feels. It feels like you guys are using 0-point energy to keep the blade in between the scales, and there's not actually friction. Are you using anti-gravity to make the blade stay in here? Is there actually friction? I don't believe that there is. You guys have to be using some sort of space magic here. When I push this button, the blade drops so unbelievably smooth. The old example that I use, I'm so sorry, my voice sounds awful. It sounds like my diet consists of sun-dried tomatoes and sand. And it doesn't. That's just what I sound like right now. But anyway, it feels like what I used to say is buttered glass. But this feels like it's just two pieces of titanium and there's a blade hovering in there. This is just absolutely wild. And also your detent, considering this is a plunge lock, the detent and the feeling of it when you come back down here. Right, here we go. Ready, ready, ready. Oh, it feels so good for a plunge lock, right? Really spectacular. Guys are doing awesome, awesome work here. Really cool stuff. Still very expensive. If you're new to the knife world, right? Probably what you've experienced up to this point, especially if this is your first video with me, or if you came from TikTok or whatever, oftentimes that happens. What you're used to seeing are knives at Walmart from the $20 to $50 range. You might be aware, after going to Bass Pro Shop or something like that, of knives that cost $100, $200, even $300, right? That's still the surface. That's definitely still the surface of the knife world. There exists so much more in this incredible iceberg of the knife world. So these are very, very expensive products. And the reason that they are so expensive is because they are not mass produced. And in this case, this is a company that's not really outsourcing anything. They are making everything in-house in the USA, small batch. And they're obviously paying an enormous amount of attention to detail when it comes to design and being very careful with tolerances and things like that. So all of this costs money. Prototyping, machining, and keeping all of their machines in check, making sure everything stays perfectly calibrated all the time. All of this, it's very, very expensive to do. There's that last one. So yeah, the end result is not an inexpensive product, right? For a lot of people, that's just too much money to pay for a pocket knife, and that's okay. But the fact remains is that that's what these types of things cost. And there is a huge market for stuff like this. So for people who are interested Is MachineWise a company that you should be paying attention to? Is this a knife that you should add to your collection? And the answer is yes, absolutely. They're very, very good. Very excited to see a final version of the Mojave. That's going to be it for today. Expect to see more down the road on this new model. So anyways, MachineWise linked in the description. Thanks so much to MachineWise for seeing this in. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. If you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.